Yeah, I think that the moment that I spoke to you when my son asked me about richness, you know, and my response to him, that I truly do feel that we are living a very rich life. That response, as the words came out of my mouth at the time, I knew that something at the core of me had changed, because if he had asked me that same question 12 months earlier, I know that the response would have been different. You know, but to be able to view life and say, you know, to say to your son that, yes, look, I think we're the richest people on the planet. You know, we have a wonderful home. We have an abundance of fresh water and food. You have a great school. You have a network of friends. You got a great sports club you're involved with. You've got 2 sets of grandparents that are alive and they love you very much. You have a sister, you have cousins, you have uncles and aunties. You know, I couldn't think of a more rich existence, you know, in the world. You know, so
totally. So you said before that through this process you feel like you're an absolute different person. What does that mean?
I feel like I'm living the life of the person that I was always meant to be. This is the person that I've not really knew or known that was there, I think. I've been buried amongst, you know, preconceptions, the stuff that we've been taught and trained our whole lives, preconditioned to just keep slogging on, keep fighting the battle, keep digging deep, just keep taking on more and more and more because we're men, you know, and that's what we're here to do.
Totally.
You know, but to truly understand that we can actually achieve more in life and live a life of abundance by doing less, because, and when I say doing less, I mean being truly present, knowing where your values are in life and focusing your attention to those values. So when you're spending time with your wife and spending time with your children or your colleagues or your clients, doing the things that you know contribute the most value. And then what you realize is that you can achieve as much, if not more, in less time. And it just frees you up then to be yourself, just be present and enjoy the moment. I feel like I've lived more life in the last 2 months than I did in the last 10 years. You know, there's not a single day I regret in the last 2 months. I've got memories from the last 2 months. You know, I can remember doing all sorts of things. And that's just great, you know, whereas I think there's been other times in my life where I've just spent days, weeks, months, years doing things, but I don't remember any of it because I was just in autopilot, soldiering on with so much to do, just putting out fires, and the biggest fires got put out first. And then you turn around and another year goes by and you're like, hold on, what did I just do this year? So this is what I mean about, you know, I feel like I'm living a new life now. You know, I feel like I'm
describe
really
describe your old self. Describe your old self 12 months ago versus who you are right now.
Wow, the person I was 12 months ago, highly driven by ego. I think my ego was in control of most of what I did. And any time I wasn't achieving enough or putting in enough, it was my ego that would just keep driving me to just do more and take on more. And you've just got to keep digging deep. This is what everyone else is doing out there. This is what every business owner is doing out there. If you want to go to the next level, you've just got to take on more. That's just the reality of growing a business or growing a team or growing your network of people that you're working with. You know, compared to the person I am now, or the person that I've grown, I think, to be over the last sort of 6-12 months, you know, I've grown the business to the point where it's the biggest it's ever been. We had our biggest year of growth year on year in basically 10 years. So, and we did that with me spending less time in the office than I've spent in any year that I've been running this business. Part of that's come from me consciously and actively wanting to step back from working on the day-to-day functions within the business, allowing myself to just get involved in little things that, I mean, I guess ultimately they're things that kind of need to be done, but am I the right person to be doing them? Yeah.
So what about new self? What is life like now?
Well, this is a different person, because now this person is a person that I think there's three sides of me now. There's one side of me, which is the guy that is still running this business, but is very much planning for a future of the business that ultimately has even less and less involvement from myself. There's a part of me that's my family man, the guy that's the husband, the father, and the person within our family, and I'm consciously trying to be the very best person that I can be in that regard, and that's the part that's probably given me the most enjoyment of anything. I think I've been there for my family in a way that I've never been there for them. I've been with Brom for, we've been married for well over 10 years. We've been together for, I don't know, close to 15 years or something like that now. But I feel like I've been there for her in the last few months, really been there for her in a way that I don't think I've ever been. And I can see that in the way that she just responds to me, and there's just a lovingness and a caringness that I can hear in her voice, and that's just wonderful.
Beautiful.
And then there's the third part, and this is the best part, I think, that's resulted from the other two parts getting in line, is that I've got so much spare time now, that I've really been able to set myself a new mission and a new vision for this new person that I am, and what am I here to do on this planet. And I don't think running a business was really it. So although that's been good and the business has served me well, but I really do think I'm here to influence some change and some positive change in the world. And so now really being able to set a mission and say, well, I want to go out and see if I can help underprivileged children throughout the world. But the starting spot is in my local scenario, at a community level, a real world level, that I can influence change here and now. I couldn't have imagined that we'd be doing this so soon. It's something I've wanted to do for quite some time, but I've never thought I'd have the time to do it, or to really set that mission and sort of feel like, the time's right. Let's do this. So, that's probably the three parts of who I am now, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing. So coming into the program, did you expect your life to be anything like it is now?
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. All I thought to myself was, well, it probably can't get any worse than what it is. So I probably don't have much to lose, but who knows, I might learn a thing or two out of it. But it's been a bit more than just learning a tip or two. This has changed my outlook on the way I view everything. Feeling more at home with myself, feeling more at peace with myself, who I am inside, really reconnecting with that inner child. That's amazing, because now being more comfortable in here means everything out here is just, I don't know. I'm just looking at everything with starry eyes. It's pretty good.
Beautiful. And that's the key, right? That is the absolute key.
Yeah.
And how we help our clients transform their inner world and then their external world just transforms by default. It becomes a reflection in a mirror, and it's just business skyrockets. You do less, your relationships improve, your marriage improves, and you start seeing what's next, right? Like all those other ideas and visions start to become reality.
That was Rob in the background.
That's all right. This is what videos are like nowadays, right? Real life families in the background.
Yeah.
So the transformation that you've been through, coming in with kind of no real expectations, but some change would have been fantastic, to now having a completely different worldview. In your words, you said you've gone through paradigm shifts, and you've literally balanced and evolved every area of your life. What would you say to other married businessmen who are considering going through the same process?
Very good question. I think for people that have been through what I've been through, which is a pretty tough, grueling period of my life. You know, I'm in my early 40s now, but you know, I've been working since I was a young teenager. So I'm, you know, approaching nearly 30 years working in the industry. I think the first thing I had to make was a decision that I didn't want to carry on doing what I am doing, because I think it had only served me so well for so long. I really did feel buried amongst the million things that I thought I had to be dealing with, and the pressures that come from that. But I had to come to a point in my life where I was ready to say, you know what, I'm ready to learn something new and give it everything that I've got, because whatever served me to now, it isn't working anymore. So for people that are feeling like they're a bit lost, and buried under all the pressure of family and business and everything else that life sort of presents to us, I'd strongly recommend giving this process a go. I think you've got to be open and ready for it. I think I've mentioned this to yourself and Tracy a number of times, but I don't think we crossed paths by coincidence. I think our paths crossed at the time where we were meant to cross paths, because truthfully, I don't think I was ready for a process such as this 2 years earlier. I think my mind wasn't ready for it. My ego was not ready to let go. And maybe I just hadn't suffered enough. I hadn't punished myself enough. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think I was truly ready to let go of the things that weren't serving me anymore. And through that process of reconnecting with myself, that inner child that had been speaking to me for years, but I'd almost forgotten about that inner version of who I was. You know, to reconnect at that level, let go of the things and processes that really haven't served me very well, especially in recent years, and to really take that leap of faith that, hey, maybe there's a better way to do things. You know, the truth of the matter is, I don't think Greg or Tracy have directly done anything to help my business. However, my business has prospered greatly through the process that I've worked through with Greg and Tracy.
That's a paradigm shift in its own right.
And it is, and that's the best way I can describe it, is a paradigm shift. My whole outlook on the way that I view things and how I value things, that's taken a fundamental change. You know, I've forgiven myself for a lot of things over the years that, you know, I probably had continued to punish myself about. So forgiving myself was a really big step in this process, but also forgiving others that I think I had felt had not done right by me or my family. By being able to forgive them, forgive myself, there's a process of healing that takes place, and I think that healing was a core part of the paradigm shift that we sort of talk about. Healing at a core level, at a soul level. This is what I think has ultimately changed the way I view and value my family. I've gone from almost having a resentment to having a wife and kids and all of the pressures that brings, and when you add them to the pressures of running a business, and our business operates nationally, so it's a pretty sizable operation now, amongst all of our full-time, part-time staff, amongst all of our subcontractors. There's probably nearly 100 individuals that are involved with the business. So it's still a small business, but it's a reasonably sizable network of individuals, and there are many pressures that come with that. So, I was 10 years into this business, or in my 10th year of business, I guess, when I sort of started penciling, in 2020, I think I'd started drafting a new 10-year business plan. What does the next 10 years of this business look like? And one of the core objectives that I'd set at the very top of, I'd set, I think, 3 or 4 objectives that high level objectives that I'd set right at the top of that business plan. But the one that was right at the top, and probably the most important to me, was to be able to remove myself from working in the business to be in a position where I really just focus and work on the business. Because I knew very clearly that my highest asset and value to the business was really just bringing in business. So everything else I did, although it was useful, I didn't think that was really my core asset. And it certainly wasn't things that I didn't think couldn't be delegated or trained to senior staff within the company. So, but the truth of the matter is that I probably thought to myself, hey, I think if I can achieve it in 5 years, I will have done pretty well.
And how long did it take you to achieve it? 6 months.
Not even 6 months is the reality of it. It was not even 6 months. I literally haven't been to my office in months. We have 2 offices, by the way, and I haven't been to either of them in months. And to show how much this was not a short-term view that I had taken, I literally went into my office and cleaned out my own desk from my own office of my own company. So that was a very interesting and unique experience. The only other times that I can recall having to clean out my desk, I'd either been fired or I had resigned.
Yeah.
And neither of those experiences are usually very pleasurable ones. Whereas this one here was, I don't know, it was almost like the dawn of a new beginning, I felt pleased, I felt proud that we had built the business to a point where I could literally go in and clean my desk out. I felt very honored that I had a really good network around me, that I had senior staff in positions that had really stepped up in the last 6 months, when I'd sort of sat down with them and given them a bit of an overview of the 10-year business plan. I said, guys, look, this is what I'm doing. this is why I'm doing it. There's two ways this is going to work, and one of it is we're going to upskill and train the people we have, and we're going to build from within. And the other part of it will be external recruitment to plug holes that, you know, either we don't want to fill internally or whatever the case may be. And this happened in the same period that I've been working with yourself. So yeah, not even 6 months is what it took for us to get to that point. And
it's incredible, the internal transformation, how that transpires in the external world, right?
It's I don't have enough words for this. You know, I don't think my vocabulary is expanded well enough to
I
really
find it hard to describe to people, because you have to experience it, right?
You have to experience it. You really, really have to experience it. My whole outlook on the way I perceive everything has changed. You know, I mean, if I look at who I am as a person, right? I've always thought that my mind was my core asset. You know, I've always thought to myself, I'm pretty clever. I'm pretty intelligent. I'm pretty analytical. I'm logical. I can look at a piece of information. I have an engineering background. I'll break the problem down into much smaller problems, and I'll formulate 100 solutions, and then I'll work out which of those solutions are the most efficient, which ones are the most cost prohibitive, which ones will take up the most time, and then I'll select which one of those solutions I'm going to run with. And sometimes it's a combination of solutions, but I've always thought my mind was my core asset. My mind was my solution to all of life's problems. And this is what I've done my whole life. You know, whether it was a problem in my relationship or my family life or my friends, my business, I would just solve problems. This is what I've done my whole life. I've been a problem solver, and I've been so good at it that people have even used that term with me many times over the years. They're like, he's a really good problem solver. Just you know, if you're ever in a crisis situation, call him. He's one of the guys that should be on your speed dial, you know, because he'll really work something out real quick.
But now you trust your intuition.
But now I trust my intuition, and this has been the paradigm shift, I think. You know, that, you know, if all this process was learning new tricks and tips that my mind can implement, I don't know that I would recommend this process. I don't know that I would have really got that much out of it. And for what it's worth, I don't really appreciate wasting people's time, and I don't appreciate wasting my time either. I don't think I would have followed through with it.
Totally. The tips and tricks coaching adds to the problem.
Yeah.
Makes people more analytical and logical, which is the problem.
Yeah. So for what it's worth, it's not to say that my mind still isn't one of my core assets. It certainly is.
It's just not in control.
But yeah, I think I've really now understood that my mind and my ego have their place in my life. But there are times where those things can serve me well, and there are times when they don't. And being able to know when those times are, and literally being able to step back and say, okay, now's a time where we're going to break this down analytically, right? And that's what I do. And then there are other times where, you know, a thought will come in my mind, and I'll start down that old, you know, little whirlpool that, you know, used to be my thought process, where a little thing, and it would bug me for days, you know, and it would affect my judgment on everything else because I'm being weighed down by this thought process. Whereas now I can see myself objectively. And when I start this process, I can recognize it within seconds. And I'm like, okay, we're going to stop right there because we know where that path leads.
Yeah.
And I just walk away from it, you know, and yeah, that's a
beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing, but it's yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing, you know. It's really enabled me to be more present in everything that I'm doing. You know,
Beautiful.
so